A few years ago, I was in the mountains in Mount Everest base camp. Just me, few friends, and altitude, silence. And the moment we started to go back from the mountains, I realized that the longer walk, the clearer it became. That the life I was going back to wasn't mine. I had built it carefully, intelligently, like done almost everything right, and on paper looked delicious. And I realized that it wasn't mine and I want to go back to it, to my life. And I can tell you, it wasn't just a bad day. It was the truth. I've been out running for probably years, and it felt like somebody would just punch me in my gut. I was just nauseous because of that. And some of my clients, I found them on the same mountain. And maybe you are. Some of you are on your own mountain or coming back from that mountain, like myself. And you feel the same unpleasant feeling that it's like the life you're running, it's not yours. And this feeling is daunting. Welcome back to Brilliance Unleashed. My name is Anna. I'm your conscious leadership coach. And today I'm going to ask you some uncomfortable questions that might even ruin your week. And that's good because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I will do it not because I'm unkind, but because you are intelligent to keep avoiding it. And here in Brilliance Unleashed, we just don't slide on the surface, we dive deep. So, question number one for you. If nobody could see your results, no one is watching, no one is comparing, no one is impressed, would you still want the life you're building? I know. I'm not expecting the quick answer. I want the honest one. Because there is a thing what I've learned that the version of success you're chasing, you didn't choose it recently, most likely. You chose it somewhere years ago when you were, I don't know, proving yourself, when you were scared, when you were hungry. And that person, that version of you built this life. But that version of you is partially gone or already gone. And you are still running that that version of you race. And my invitation for today is to think about your success, your version of it today. And I want you to give me 3 words, not a paragraph, not explanation, 3 words. What is it for you? And if you need a little bit of a time, just pause it now and we're gonna go back in a second. And to inspire you and tell you what I mean by that, I'm gonna share you mine 3 words. It's freedom, it's integrity, and it's revenue. Yes. And what it really means, what is the meaning behind those words? Freedom means that I choose. I choose my clients, I choose my calendar, I choose how I show up, where I show up, what I do, how I do. Integrity means that I am careful, especially today, careful with choosing the people I work with, the companies I am supporting or I'm collaborating with, the causes I'm involved in, and the revenue. And I put it there deliberately for myself because for a long time, I would never do that. I didn't do it because it felt uncomfortable. But without revenue, I cannot do the work I want to do. I cannot be the best version of myself. I cannot be that energetic Anna. So I am claiming it. So, what is yours? And I want you to write it down for yourself. And now that you have written those words, let me bring this uncomfortable feeling for you, because probably the life you're living doesn't match the words you just wrote. Like, for example, if you set freedom as I did, but you look at your calendar, you look at the events you're involved with, the meetings you need to be in, it not necessarily reflect that, right? Maybe you said, oh, being present, but you're performing competence and running meetings where you stopped being present 6 months ago. Or you're not even present when you're just going to the office. Because you build this version of success when you were a different person, when you needed different things. And now, when you're succeeding, you're generally succeeding, but at the wrong thing. And I can tell you that I see it quite often, because if you, for example, said it that it's family, but you are taking extra projects and you're spending extra hours at work, does this really reflect? Because you have those three words, but your infrastructure doesn't really support them. And when we are scaling, when we are growing, many of my clients said, oh, wow, I thought that running my own business would feel like mine, but it's just heavier. What I thought is like, oh, when I gonna finally be promoted to that position, I would feel that I have more freedom, or I would just do different things. But it's heavier. It's not as fun as you thought. It's not fulfilling as you were hoping for. And when you scale, when you grow and you are not happy, most likely it's not your productivity problem, right? It's the direction problem, because you're heading somewhere and you are executing it and you are nailing it. But is it what you really, really want? Because think about it, that being good at something you've outgrown, it's the most expensive places to be, because it looks like success. You feel all right. It's not that bad, so you cannot justify leaving and walking away from it. However, it costs you almost everything that actually matters for you today. And you know this. On some level, you've always know you have that feeling because something feels off. And my question for you today is like, are you finally ready to do something about it? And let me just allow to that question to land. Are you ready to do something about it? Because knowing, it's not doing. Okay, so let's go back to your three words. You name it, you put it on paper, your three words. Now, look at what you've built, right? So look at your life, your calendar, your priorities, how your day is looking, right? How your week looks, how your month. If you're running your business, look at your contracts, look at your offers, look at your clients. And ask yourself a question: does this support the version of success? Or is it still running the old one? So is it connected to the new one, or is it like, oh, my infrastructure is a little bit outdated? Because if freedom is one of your words, like mine, but you have one contract, or you're in one company and you're in one location, you have fixed hours, is that feeding your version of success? Is revenue, paycheck is one of your words. But whatever you do, does it really justify that? Or it's costing you the most energy of you, and you're constantly exhausted that you cannot even enjoy that paycheck. Is it actually worth doing it? And I can tell you, and I'm talking from my experience, that knowing something is off and doing something about it, those are two completely different things, right? We all know. On some level, we always know. But knowing doesn't change anything. And I can tell you that you've been in that I know zone for years. You know, but you're still in the same place. What changes things is decision to stop performing the version of success you have and start embodying the one that you actually want, whatever it is. It's your version of success. So going back to that, my trek back from that mountain, I had the knowing. So I knew this is the life I don't want to live anymore. But knowing didn't change anything. So what changed things was a little bit later that I stopped waiting to feel ready. I started. It was one conversation at the time. It was one meeting at the time. One small, terrifying decision at that time. I let go of some relationships. I let go of some habits. And I start to going after what I actually wanted, what actually fit in that version of success. And it was an impressive version, not industry version. And going to having my own company, trust me, at the beginning was not very glamour. It wasn't flashy. It was a hard work, but it was mine. And I love that life. Now I have the life I want to always come back to because it's mine. And what I mean that having your version of success, so you know what your success look like, you know your infrastructure, and that's what it means by embodying your version of success. Because it's not about having perfect planning session. It happens in those daily decisions, the small ones, the ones nobody sees, the ones that it's like having that conversation with yourself. It's about that email you don't send because it doesn't feel right. It's that meeting you don't go because it's just you present doesn't change anything. It's that conversation you have with yourself on a quiet Tuesday, Thursday, when you ask yourself, is it still mine? Is it still what I want to do? That's where it lives. That's where your success lives. It's saying no to things that doesn't serve you. It's letting go of relationships that does not support you. And yes, will be uncomfortable. It can be scary, for sure. But it's absolutely necessary and worth it. And my question, an invitation for you to sit with what I'm going to ask you and with the answer, what's going to come up for you without any filter. So if you designed your success from scratch today, knowing everything you know about yourself, your energy, your life, your priorities, what would it actually look like? And I don't want you to say, oh, it's just not realistic for me to run it. No. Would you still live the life you have? And not the version that impresses on LinkedIn, on social media, or when you are saying it. Not the version your, I don't know, maybe previous boss would understand, or your family. I'm talking about yours. And let me go even deeper and ask you that harder question. What is the one thing you already know needs to change? Because you know, right? But you've been avoiding that because changing it would mean admitting you built the wrong thing. And it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay in the wrong thing. So I want you to nail it, that one thing. And that's exactly where your next level is. Standing on that mountain was the most terrifying feeling I've ever had. And yet it was the most honest moment of my life that started to change. That started the chain on events, that it was rolling like a like a ball from that mountain. It was at the end of 2018, and my life started to shift it from that. And some of you listening to that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That kind of crack, that quiet knowing that something is off. And I don't want you to think about that it's some crisis or just like, oh my God, something is off with me. That's your data. That's your intelligence that you gathered. That might be the most important signal your life is sending you. And here is the question, is whether you're finally ready to listen and if you're ready to do something about it. I've learned, and I know now that success should expand you, right? That if you're successful, you're expanding in different direction, whatever that success is for you. But if that success is shrinking you, it's not your next level. It might be that louder version of that wrong direction. So I want you to think hard about your success today, your version of your success from the place you are right now. And if you say, I don't know, that's also okay. You start with those questions. In some level, that landed what I've just told you. If something cracked open while you were listening, don't just consume that and move on. I want you to book a call with me. It's free of charge, that 45 minutes, but you need to invest your time and your energy and bring your insight from today. It might be that conversation that you've been avoiding. Because in this call, we're going to look at that gap between the success you're performing, success you actually want. So we're just going to look at that crack and we are going to name it what needs to shift. And we are going to decide if you're ready to do something about it, because you might not be. That's also okay. But you're not going to be in the sitting in that someday. We're going to do it now. So go to that show notes, click the link, and let's have that conversation. Because knowing not gonna change your life. Doing well. So if you are ready to do something about your version of success, building that infrastructure, and start embodying it, let's talk.